If you're a middle-aged bloke and you've ever woken up feeling strangely grumpy, even though your life is fine on paper, if you've ever caught yourself staring out the window, wondering, is this it? This all there is? Or if you've quietly realized you've been chasing things that no longer satisfy you, then mate, this video and this book are for you. I'm Colin, and today I'm walking out to Red Hand's Cave in the Blue Mountains, an ancient site where people have left their mark for centuries. As I walk, I'm reviewing The Dark Night of the Shed, Men, the Midlife Crisis, Spirituality and Sheds by Nick Page. This book is for any bloke who's felt that midlife wobble, asking, is this it? Nick didn't chase a sports car or a motorbike or try to act like he was 25. He built a shed and met God in the middle of it. Midlife crisis is a real issue. Men in middle age suffer from depression at alarming rates. It's common for men in their middle years to feel life has left them behind, feel disappointed, grumpy, or useless. The book blends sharp observational humor and honest personal stories with biblical wisdom. It's like a mix of self-help, memoir, theology, and dad jokes, all in under 250 pages. The Midlife Wobble and Sheds. The psychologist Carl Jung wrote that life was divided into two halves. The first is youth, when you're building a life, earning money, and trying to achieve stuff. Midlife is a portal leading into what he calls individuation, where you have to work to find out who you are. Not your job or your family or what you possess, who you actually are. This is what causes the midlife crisis. I'm sure there's a female equivalent too, though I'm not sure they're into sheds to the same extent. There is some discussion of sheds. Many famous people did their best work in sheds. George Bernard Shaw, Virginia Woolf, Dylan Thomas, Momofuku Ando. The last one may not be a household name, but that's the guy who invented cup noodles. You can still see the shed on display at the Cup Noodles Museum in Tokyo. Really. False gods. Nick Page is a Christian writer and a broadcaster, and in this book, he chronicles his own midlife wobble. Not a full-blown Ferrari and affair crisis, but that quiet, or not so quiet, moment when you realize that the gods of your youth have feet of clay. He gives them names like dosh, money, exhaustus, work, kudos, status, rompo, sex, and lycra, eternal youth. Even the church can preach a false god if it tells you that worship is a method of achieving prosperity, or that you can be saved by sanctimony, works, or religiosity. But these gods often come up empty, as Solomon describes in the Bible. Listen to this from Ecclesiastes 2:10-11.
I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done, and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun.
As I'm walking these tracks, that verse hits hard. You climb the ladder, you achieve, you acquire, and then one day you realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Often, this is brought on by a crisis. In Nick's case, this was a seemingly trivial problem of a lost passport, but it could be a breakup, a health problem, or financial strife. People wonder why middle-aged guys are grumpy. The shed as metaphor. Instead of pretending he's still 25, Nick retreats to his shed. He cleans out the junk of the first half of his life and starts renovating his soul, as well as the shed. The shed becomes his prayer chapel and his wrestling ring with God. This is where the book really shines. showing that the dark night isn't something to fear, but a necessary season where old ways die and a new life begins. The wrestling match. The central image in this book is Jacob wrestling with God all night. Genesis 32 tells us about Jacob returning to his homeland and being worried about meeting his brother Esau. And not surprisingly, so Jacob had betrayed him. Genesis 32 tells us,
That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched, as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, Let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me.
a strange moment in the Genesis wrestling match is when God asks Jacob, What is your name? Surely God knows that. But then God then says,
Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans, and have overcome.
The word Israel means one who wrestles with God. So Jacob came away limping, but he came away blessed with a new name and a new identity. That's exactly what Nick is saying in The Dark Night of the Shed. You step away from the noise, you wrestle honestly with God, and you emerge changed, not pretending to be young and invincible, but grounded, humble, and more purposeful. Jacob goes on his way renewed and with a new sense of purpose. If you're asked to introduce yourself, what do you say? For most guys, this will be name plus job, perhaps family. We may try to project identity by mentioning lifestyle or adopting a certain manner of dress to give an air of success or casualness. But is that who we are? Nick emphasizes that we're not our wounds, we're not our failures. Christians call them sins, which the world does not understand, although it does understand the concept of shame and applies it liberally. Many men feel burdened by this. So who are we? Carl Jung had inscribed on his house and his tomb the Latin motto, Timor de initium sapientiae. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Which is actually from Proverbs 9, verse 10. Nick quotes a medieval book, The Cloud of Unknowing. No, I'd never heard of it either. God is your being and what you are, and you are in God. You're not alone, but you have to wrestle with God to become the person you're meant to be. So here are some key themes. Nick is honest about the fears many men face. Irrelevance, losing strength, watching the next generation overtake you. But he also points to real hope. The book's funny too. It's full of self-deprecating British wit and jokes about his mate Steve, because by midlife, everyone's called Steve. Yet underneath the laughs is solid wisdom about moving from acquisition to relinquishment, from performance to presence. Here we are at Red Hand's cave. Inside, you'll see hand stencils that are between 500 and 1600 years old, made by the Oryang people of the Darug Nation. Generations left their mark here, and according to Google, there are the handprints of about 45 people, including children. It was once a sacred ceremonial place, but today it has to be protected from vandals by a metal fence. It makes you think about the impermanence of life and how things move on. Midlife and beyond often bring days of trouble, aching bodies, shifting purpose, that inward turning. But Nick shows it doesn't have to end in emptiness. It can become the most spiritually alive season of your life. He lays out a number of spiritual exercises, prayers of self-examination, fasting, meditation, finding a new interest to help with that. Standing in a place like this makes Ecclesiastes 12:1 feel very real.
Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them.
This book is gold for men in their 40s to 60s, but wives and partners will gain huge insight too. It's short, warm, and very practical. Yes, it's very British and bloke-focused, and the faith elements are central, but the human insights stand strongly, even if you're not yet a Christian. The Dark Night of the Shed is funny, honest, and full of real hope. Nick Page shows that midlife doesn't have to be a decline or denial. It can be the season where you finally leave a meaningful mark, like those ancient hands on the rock. My challenge to you, grab the book, then find your own shed. A quiet walk like this, a shed, a cave, wherever you can wrestle with God and ask the big questions. Have you read it? What's your midlife strategy? Shed, bushwalk, or something else? Drop it in the comments. If you've enjoyed this walking review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Book links are below. Thanks for walking with me. Keep reading, keep walking, and keep wrestling well. God bless.
I order you to like and subscribe.